German prosecutors say that a shooting near the Israeli Consulate in Munich today was an attempted terrorist attack. Police shot dead an 18-year-old Austrian in a gun battle. The incident happened on the anniversary of the 1972 Munich Olympics terror attacks, in which 11 Israeli athletes were killed. German Chancellor Olaf Scholz wrote on X that anti-Semitism and Islamism have no place here in Germany.
This footage reportedly shows the gunman as he opened fire at around 9 a.m. in the morning. Residents filmed from their windows as people fled the scene. The incident took place in Karolinenplatz in central Munich. It's an area close to the Israeli Consulate and a documentation museum of Nazi history. Jewish institutions and places of worship in Germany are given police protection against possible anti-Semitic attacks, so the officers present were able to act quickly to neutralize the gunman. A police spokesman said the suspect was an 18-year-old Austrian. They're still investigating the motive, but described the incident as, quote, an attempted terrorist attack. Bavaria's State Interior Minister said he thought there was clear indicators of the shooter's intent.
It's obvious that if someone parks right here within sight of the Israeli consulate, then walks around with a rifle and starts shooting, that it's certainly or very likely not a coincidence that he didn't know where he was or something like that. The police will investigate this very carefully and then we will report concrete results to you.
The shooting happened on the anniversary of a terrorist attack by Palestinian militants on the Israeli Olympic team during the 1972 Munich Olympics, strengthening police suspicion of an Islamist motive. Germany's Interior Minister denounced the shooting.
The protection of Jewish and Israeli institutions has top priority. It is of course very bitter that it took place in front of the Nazi Documentation Center and Consulate General of Israel.
Authorities say they believe the gunman was operating alone. They've increased their presence in the city, but say they're not searching for any other suspects.
Well, for more, I'm joined now by our reporter, Lis Sanders. He is standing by live in Munich. Lis, what more do we know about the alleged gunman?
Well, earlier today, the Austrian Interior Ministry confirmed that the suspected perpetrator was in fact under investigation last year for suspected radicalization. Now, part of that investigation included a search of his home where they found material linked to known terrorist groups. Now, it's unclear whether those groups included al-Nusra. There has been reporting that there might have also been material found on his phone, propaganda from the Islamic State, both operating out of countries like Syria, but have committed attacks here in Europe. Now, what I can say, though, is that local authorities are treating this as a suspected terrorist attack, and specifically, authorities here in Bavaria working on counterterrorism measures are involved.
This happened on the anniversary of the terrorist attack by Palestinian militants on the Israeli Olympic team during the 1972 Olympics in Munich. The timing of this, it's not being seen as just a mere coincidence, is it?
Indeed, it isn't. For many representing the Jewish community here in Munich and also across Germany, this is no coincidence that an attack would take place here around the corner from the Israeli consulate. There are reports that it could have been the target. In fact, I believe that authorities are treating the investigation as such. But the fact that it hits directly into a community at a moment where the Jewish community isn't feeling very secure, there is a bit of unease, let's say. One of the leaders of a Jewish organization here in Munich earlier today said she was profoundly shocked that something like this could happen in what is effectively the heart of Munich. I also spoke to someone who is not a member of the Jewish community but has been a resident of Munich for 6 years, and he told me he was also surprised that something like this could happen. He believes that the authorities and police did exactly what they needed to do, but it still creates a certain sense of unease and an atmosphere of concern when you're out in the public.
Lis, let me ask you for the wider context here. As you said, authorities are calling today's shooting an attempted terrorist attack. I mean, this is the second act of terror that you have covered here in Germany in the last couple of weeks, isn't it?
Indeed, it is. 2 weeks ago, I covered the knife attack in Solingen, which left 3 people dead and 9 others injured. And what I can say in terms of commonalities, when I speak to the people affected by these attacks, whether in Solingen or here in Munich, is that there is just a profound sense of grief, of pain, that something like that could happen in their community. This festival, where the attack happened in Solingen, was made under the banner of diversity, of bringing the community together, and for an act to tarnish this kind of event sent shockwaves, not only within the city, but across the country, across the nation. And so, in the end, there is just this sense of unease, of pain, and just disheartenment for these kinds of attacks as they affect people, whether in Munich or in Solingen or in other places in Germany.
That's right, all across the country. DW reporter Lis Sanders with the latest tonight in Munich. Lis, thank you. We're going to stay with this story now and cross over to our security correspondent, Thomas Sparrow. He's here in Berlin. Thomas, good to see you. Germany is taking this extremely seriously. Tell us more about the reaction.
And it is taking this extremely seriously, Brent, because it is an extremely serious situation. There have been reactions from high-ranking German politicians, including the German president, Frank-Walter Steinmeier, who's the German head of state, who said he was in touch with his Israeli counterpart, as well as several other high-ranking German politicians. And it's important to stress that this comes at a time when security in Germany is a very important topic, when there are plenty of discussions as to what the government and other authorities should do to strengthen security in the country. You were already talking with the other correspondent on site that this is not the first case that we've been covering in the last few weeks. In fact, only a few weeks ago, there was a terror attack in the western German city of Solingen. And this essentially means that from the political perspective, from the security political perspective, the situation now is very tense, hence this very concrete reaction that we saw today from German politicians.
Thomas, is the current security strategy to protect Jewish institutions and places of worship, is it enough to handle growing threats?
When you ask politicians about this, they will often say that they cannot guarantee 100% security. However, if you specifically talk about Jewish institutions, this is, and it has been for a very long time, a priority for the German government, not only now under Chancellor Olaf Scholz, but also previously under Chancellor Angela Merkel. That was the case, that Germany saw it as a very important priority to protect Jewish institutions and Jewish life in Germany, for example, by protecting institutions with police presence or by having specific funds allocated to that. But it's also relevant to stress that there is a new component to this, if you want, a new challenge for German authorities, because the current tensions that we're seeing in the Middle East, the current polarization that we're seeing in the Middle East, has in a way also had an impact on the security situation here in the country. This is something that the Interior Ministry has been saying for a long time. This is something that we've heard also from domestic intelligence agency here in Germany. So basically what we're seeing is, on the one hand, a dynamic that is long-standing, that need to protect Jewish institutions, but also a more recent component, which is specifically the fact that the Middle East conflict has now had an impact here in Germany as well.
And picking up on that, do you expect some German political parties to try and capitalize on this incident?
I imagine it's still too early for that to happen, but as we saw in previous security challenges, in previous security instances, this was certainly something that created a very big political debate in the country, and it created a political debate along the lines that we've seen in the past by parties on the right, on the centre, on the far right, on the far left. So I do expect a political debate happening in the country. But for that to happen, I also expect that more information needs to be revealed on the specific motivation behind this attack.
All right, our security correspondent Thomas Sparrow with the latest in Berlin tonight. Thomas, thank you.